Greetings from Southern Yankee Homestead. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Today we're doing prep work and side work for our homestead. Our backyard chickens are due for a new area. And we're going to be moving them out here. Basically, the house is over there. You maybe see it through the woods. We're going to be prepping this area out here for a crop for next year. We're going to use the chickens to do that. What is that crop? So here we are up in the heat of the garage. This is dent corn. I'm talking about this, not this. We're drying stuff up here. We're going to be planting dent corn. If you look, this shows up. You can see little dents in that. This is yellow dent corn. It may be good for animal fodder. May not grow. We don't know. But we're going to try it. So yes, we're going to be planting dent corn. If I didn't say it in the previous section of the video, don't know if it's going to be good or bad. Either way, we're going to plant it and try, because if you don't plant nothing, I guarantee nothing will grow. So we're going to try it. And also for reference, if you can see through the sun, there's our orchard, there's our goat fence, there's the neighbors, woods. So we're not sure yet how we're going to set this up. We know we're going to use cattle panels and construction fabric or safety netting, if whatever you call it in your area. So we're going to go ahead and get the cattle panels set up probably Saturday or Sunday or the next available day, because right now we got some prep we want to do before we box this in. And the prep is we need to figure out which configuration we want to go with. So I'm going to start with, I know how far off here, off this wood lines, and how far off this little dead patch here. Not actually dead, it was our strawberries that got overgrown. We're going to try to salvage those. So we're going to pull 10 feet off that, probably 10 feet off the woods, because I got a 5-foot mower deck, 4 foot, 5 foot, 52-inch mower deck. So I want, you know, enough space in there that I can mow. Now the cattle panels that we're going to be using are 16 foot. So that's where the question comes in. Are we going to do 16 by 16? 16 by 32? I don't know if I'll go bigger than that. Let's see what we have for space here first, which we're 20 feet right there. So if we go out to 32, that's 32. Now at this point we have basically two sides roughly set. I'm going to try to square it up. So this one and the one down there are not going to move. That one over there, I'm going to move it in or out this way to make this back corner square. It's a garden, it probably doesn't matter that much, but it will annoy the hell out of me if I don't get it somewhat close to square. At least within a couple inches. And I know there are references online that I could use and take a 32 by 32 and figure the diagonal, in which case I could just, you know, drop a stake, go 32 feet over, drop a stake, and then pull a tape measure out and get my what's that, hypotenuse, my third leg of the triangle, and drop the stake there. We're going to use old school method. String line. Just tie a simple knot in it. So the piece that I forgot, black felt tip pen or marker, also known as a Sharpie. If you don't have a Sharpie, whatever you got for a colored marker will work, as long as it's a permanent and shows up. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the 3, 4, 5 method for finding a square. So if we go out 3 feet, put a mark, Then go on the other leg, go out 4 feet, put a mark. If you're square, when you go diagonal across those, it should be 5. Where's my mark? There it is. And we are, no way, we're a 1/2 inch off. This is also using the American way to measure. I'm not sure how you do this if you're talking meters or metric, because, well, I'm American. I only deal with metric if I'm trying to talk to someone and explain distances to them, or temperatures. Americans are weird. Anyhow, 3, 4, 5 method. So I did 3 on this leg, 4 on this leg, and then I measured across, and I had about a 1/2 inch off, so I was 59.5 inches. So in theory, I could pull that leg out, oh, I'd probably say about 1 foot, and see what happens. So with that one pulled out 1 foot, we're still 3, 4, and 5 at our marks, or 3 and 4. So if I go here, I'm 1/4 inch over 5. So given that we're doing a garden and not a foundation, we're going to go with that. Now that we have a square here, I'm going to go ahead and tack my corners in a little better so that we have a good solid basis to start with. At this point, this is where the fun comes in. We need 2 tape measures. Depending on the size of the pad you're doing, you'll need bigger or smaller than I got here. And also note that I've got 2 different types of tape measures. They're both 100 foot. One's a Cobalt, one's a DeWalt, but their attachment points are a little different. So we know our length this way is 32 feet. We know our length this way is 16 feet. What we're going to find is our diagonal. So we're going to go from that corner to this corner and find the diagonal. At that point, we're going to switch out the tape measure and bring the point over here. And then we're going to verify with our other tape measure that 32 feet on this one is 32 feet on this one. The reason being, when I slipped it over the stake, with this one, I measured 32 feet to this point here. With this one, it could throw it off a little bit. So we're going to verify our tape measurements, and then I'll show you how we get the 4th leg of this square. Now we pull tight. We are 45 feet, 8 1/4 inches to square. And just for reference, this other tape measure, I am 31 feet, 11.5 inches. So we need 31 feet, 11.5 inches. All right, I used my friend Google to find the hypotenuse, which is the long leg. So we figured A, we figured B, and we want to find C, which is the diagonal, which comes out to 543.1 inches, which is 45 1/4 feet. So that would be 45 feet 3 inches. My first leg was too far out. What we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to pull off my first 2 stakes, and we're going to go out 45.25 feet. It's actually 45.255 feet, which is like 3.5 inches approximately, because it's 1/4 plus 0.005. But we're not going to make it that exact because we're not building a house here. We're building a garden fence. I just want it to be as square as possible. So 45 feet 3 inches is what we're going for. What we're going to do is we're going to pull our 32 feet off the back side, and we're going to do the same thing we did up at this end, and then we're going to refigure the other end. I probably should have started with this, but I didn't. Sorry, I'm human, I'm out of practice. It's been, wow, close to 3 years since I did any major concrete work. Yeah, you lose the skills pretty quickly. I haven't looked, and the verdict is, oh, I'm still a little off, but that could be the tape measures easy enough. See? 32. So I'm 1.5 inches off. Which, if I was doing a house, I'd be getting another tape measure so that I had 2 of the same tape measures so that I'm taking out some of the errors. And I'm probably covering up half the microphone. But for this garden area, perfectly fine. So now let me mark it out a little bit more and then get Hun's opinion. So the warden's approved. I got this marked out with orange that you probably can't see. Yeah, I can't see it in this little camera, yeah, but it's marked in orange. We're gonna go ahead and pull, oh, there we go, I can see it there. We're gonna go ahead and pull the string, mark our 4 corners good, and then we're going to subsoil it. I went ahead, got the tractor, and got the subsoiler. So the subsoiler is basically a deep plow. So what we're attempting to do by doing this is what they call double digging. Double digging, you usually dig up all your dirt, then you dig up an extra layer, turn it all over, mix compost in, and then put it back in. That's a lot of work. Even though I got a backhoe and could do it, you know, fairly quickly, fairly easily, fairly cost effective, we're going to use the subsoiler to basically go down 18-20 inches and basically rip up the subsoil. What this is going to do is it's going to allow water to soak in deeper so that as the weather dries out, it should help keep the soil more moist when we have drier times, especially when we do the wood chips on top. It's also going to give a good sink for nutrients to settle into and whatnot. So it's worked good on our primary garden, so why wouldn't we try it on our other gardens? And right now is a good time to do it. We had Hurricane Ian followed by a nor'easter that built off the coast. We had a couple days of good soaking rain. So this ground should be pliable and not concrete like you've seen in the past. And for reference, we're using a B2650 to subsoil this. I think the LX 2600 or 2610 is the most recent version of this tractor. And realistically, that is, sorry, I was down in the woods. I've got creepy crawlies on me. I think this tractor is the smallest that you'd want to use this subsoiler for. Anything smaller like a BX or a 10 series John Deere, I feel is going to be too light, and it's not going to be able to pull it as good as it should. In fact, this one might not pull it depending on how dry the ground still is. But now we've got 9 rows dug down about the depth of the tractor, 18 inches. The upper end over here was absolutely horrendous. It actually almost stalled the tractor out. So what I had to do was manipulate the third point to lift it up to break the soil, then back up, drop it back down, and continue. Serious clay bar. So it's a good thing we dug that down. That should help soften the soil up a lot. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this pile of compost and we're gonna throw it in there roughly. We're not gonna worry about leveling it out or spreading it. We're just gonna get it inside the square for now. The chickens are gonna do the job of spreading it, mixing it, and turning it for us. Throughout the year, we'll probably throw more stuff in there. And for reference, this compost here looked like that compost there in the shade 2 years ago. So what this is a combination of leaves, vacuumed up off the lawn, wood chips, might even see some old goat droppings in there, wood shavings, sorry, pine wood shavings, just whatever we had bulk material that we had to get rid of. So it might be old hay that the goats didn't eat, chicken manure, old leaves. I think this actually has a couple of the baby goats that we originally lost when we were learning how to kid. Just whatever we threw into the compost. Eggshells, avocados, seeds, just anything and everything. If it rots, we compost it. Well, with the exception of cardboard, but we'll get to that at a much, much later date. So let me go ahead, get the tractor back up and going, and let me start carting buckets of this over here to spread. Side note on using the subsoiler. If you look here, we got some roots. So by subsoiling this, all of these trees over here, we just broke the roots that are going to be growing into the garden. We didn't get all the roots, but we at least cut down on some of them. I got the Can-Am out, I got the air compressor, the generator, and our man saver from Roar. Yeah, them. So we're gonna go ahead and start pounding some posts in. We're gonna pound one corner in, then we're gonna run a string line before we run the next post. Not entirely sure what depth I'm gonna put them at yet. And if you're wondering, yes, the air compressor will run off the Honda generator. We tested that last night. Man saver, which if you've never seen one of these before, it truly is a man saver. That took me all of, what do we got here? 45 minutes to pound in 2, 4, 5, 10, 11 posts. And our ground is hard. Accuracy, if you're trying to get all your posts at the exact same height, it's not gonna work. You're still gonna have to fine tune it with one of those manual reamer post hole drivers, sorry. But that thing does work, and it works very well. I think we'll keep it. And if we get into anything else, we might look at getting different attachments for it as well. If you're wondering why the Honda sounds sputtery, I turned the fuel off, so we're just waiting for it to stall out before we take all this back and, well, switch out the pallet forks for the bucket, because we're gonna clean up around this a little bit before we go ahead and set the, oh, I bet you can hear me now. We're gonna go ahead and put the bucket back on, because we're gonna do some cleanup first before we go ahead and start setting panels. You're gonna love how we attach the panels if you've never seen this before. Well, to adhere the fence to the posts, we're gonna use old baling twine. Yes, you heard that right. We're gonna just grab a good handful of old baling twine, because, well, we have a bunch of it. We have a lot of baling twine left over because we go through 80 to 100 bales a year, so that's 160 to 200, 7-foot pieces of string. This gives us a good use for them, temporary fencing. Don't have to buy more materials, and works quite effectively, as you'll see. Thought I'd interject real quick here. So at this point, my panels are lined up, but my stake isn't. So I made another loop like I just showed you. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hook that around there. I'm then going to find a cross tie, a vertical, and I'm gonna just put a simple loop, basically that same loop where the pigtail that adjusts the tension is pointing out towards where I'm going, towards the long end. At this point, I go around the vertical, loop it back through the loop, and this allows me to put a little bit of tension on that stake. And I basically just pull it until it's straight, and then I pinch here. Once I've pinched there, just a very simple overhand knot, Basically, think of trying to tie your shoelaces. It holds it right there. I am almost dead vertical. I'm actually a little bit over at the top, but that keeps me almost completely straight while I tie this panel in. Now the good news is about this knot that I made before, to get it out, you just pull and you don't have a knot anymore. By putting the knot in the end, it allows this to slip. Additionally, depending on how you do the knot, so if I do it like this, I can put the slip end here on the short pigtail by wrapping the pigtail end. Now if I go the other way and wrap the not pigtail end, I can use this as a cinch knot and cinch down on something. So that's how I actually tied those two pieces together. I hope that made sense. We'll be back when I get through and do a few more of these panels. There, now that I've said a whole spiel and whatnot, I hit record button. So here we are. We got the fence up. This is basically support for what we're going to use to keep the actual chickens in, because if you look, the chickens can go right through here like nothing, even because it goes all the way down to here. These are what we had, these are what we're using. This is what is free. And if you wondered what that pause was, someone wanted to just stand up. She was being crabby. She's in the middle of teething. And she had a long day yesterday, so she didn't sleep well. Well, she slept good last night, but she didn't sleep hardly at all yesterday. Anyhow, next step is we got to go in the back and start disassembling the backyard chicken fence. Yeah, I think you've seen that before, but we'll walk back there and show you what we're dealing with. Well, little change in plans. We started pulling the netting down that we'd been using for 2 years now, approximately, for the chickens, and we decided we're going a different route with it. This is construction netting, or safety netting. The problem is the little tabs are breaking. You can see we patched it. Certain areas the chickens have scratched out and destroyed the bottom. So, I mean, realistically, we've got a lot of good years out of this stuff, but it was time to upgrade. So we went ahead and purchased some new stuff to cover the other fence with, and if you guessed poultry netting, you would be correct. If you didn't guess poultry netting, well, it was the least expensive that we could find at the local store, so this is what we're going to use. Hold it on. We're going to use zip ties. We're basically going to zip tie it to this metal cage. One of the reasons we're doing that is because, well, poultry netting is very flimsy. We've seen it on the garden. It doesn't like to keep its shape very well. So you need some kind of a backing. Well, since we're using this right now, maybe someday in the future we'll come out here and put a more permanent setup in here. But for now, just to get the chickens in and start crapping on our ground, this is what we're going to do. Good news is, when we're done, we can probably recycle most of this and use it somewhere else for something else. Sorry I missed it before, but it was getting late and I just scrambled through and got everything tied on here. We then moved the chickens in. It's been about 4 days. And they're doing a pretty good job. I think we need to bring in some more material though, that they can scratch up and tear up and do all that fun stuff with. The coop is the same coop we had in the backyard. And you can see here, zip ties holding the, well, you might be able to see it, holding the chicken wire on this. Now, as far as entrance goes, this one is not tied in the middle. It's tied well around the end, and then for a gate, we just have a couple bungee cords around it so that we can get in and out each night. Keeps it nice, closed, and secure. So we're going to put the chickens in here for, well, probably the next 6 months. They're going to basically turn up all this ground, crap all over it, then turn it up some more. And we'll probably throw some other stuff in here, like we got to start collecting leaves because it's getting into the fall now. But I think we're pretty well done with this project, other than the cleanup I'm going to do here in a bit, because we got, you know, wire, there's stakes down there, got some more stuff over there. Ooh, bad lighting. So we're going to go ahead and get this cleaned up, but I'm not going to film that. You don't need to see it, do you? So, hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.